What's up, guys? My name is Jairo. Welcome to JairoPhonics podcast. I have a very special guest today. We have Emma, Banana Warrior Princess. We're going to talk to her about activism, veganism, her vegan journey. So thank you so much for tuning in. Hi, Emma. How you doing?
I'm great. Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem. My pleasure. Thank
Yeah.
you for joining us. So for the people that don't know who you are, just give us a little brief description of who you are and what is it that you do.
Okay, so I have a YouTube channel called Banana Warrior Princess where I publish videos where I do vegan outreach, activism, talking to strangers on the street about veganism, that kind of thing. And I like to get people thinking about veganism where they come to their own conclusions, their own logical conclusions about it, rather than forcing my opinions on them and sharing it with the public just to start a conversation about it, basically. And that's what I've been doing for about 3 years now, I think.
Cool.
So that's me.
Why did you choose Banana Warrior Princess as a name?
I chose that name randomly. I set up an Instagram account first. I liked Xena Warrior Princess. I liked that name, and the banana is a vegan bit, and it just kind of stuck with me. But I feel like I've grown into the character now, so it's kind of relates to me now anyway. Whereas before it was just like a random name I picked. I feel like I am the Banana Warrior Princess now, so I love it.
Definitely are. I like it. It's pretty catchy too.
Thank you.
So if you want to start, first question would be, when did you go vegan?
So it was about 4.5 years ago. It's January 2014.
Okay.
So quite some time now. Yeah, it doesn't feel like a long time, but it literally is. Like it's nearly 5 years. So
yeah, time flies actually when you stop thinking about it and you just automatically you just do it, right?
you just do it. Yeah, I just feel so much more vegan now than I did when I first started. I don't know, there's like levels of veganism as the years go on. I don't know how long have you been vegan for?
Year and a half now, so
Okay.
April last year.
Yeah, literally I feel so different to how I felt at the beginning about the industry, about my health, about the environment, everything. I just feel just totally disconnected from how I used to feel about everything. Like I literally think about everything so much more now, whereas before I just kind of thought about things the way that everyone else thinks about things, like how we've been indoctrinated to think about things. So it's kind of opened up more doors for me as the years have progressed. I've become more sort of thinking about logically about other things as well.
Yeah, there's definitely like a level up. Every few months you level up your experience, your XP on the vegan journey.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the case with everyone, but certainly for myself and my own journey, I feel like I've progressed in my own, I don't know really, in everything. I feel like I'm a different person to how I was 5 years ago, completely different.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. It's
Yeah.
only been like year and a half for me, but definitely looking back just from knowledge of the industry and all the stuff regarding animals and the way we treat them, even on the way I do outreach and activism too. Like from at the beginning, obviously everybody, and I see it a lot, and I felt it, like you're really angry because you want to stop it now. You want everybody to just change right now, and you think almost when you start getting some information, you think that just by going to your family you're gonna be like, oh, this, and they're like, oh my god, yeah, I'm vegan now too. But no, never the case.
Yeah, that's so true. You feel like you've got the information. People are just going to instantaneously accept what you're going to say because it just makes sense. It makes so much sense to you.
Yeah.
And when you first go vegan, you just have that pure emotional reaction to it. That's where you make the connection. Once you make the connection, like everything just falls into place and everything makes sense. And you just feel, oh yeah, of course, everyone else is going to make that same connection too, like I did. It doesn't happen like that. And it was it's very hard to cope with it at first.
Yeah, it's like taking a blindfold that you've had all your life, and then you just anywhere you look, you just see the screwed up stuff that is happening, and you're like, how are people not like aware? And like I'm telling you about it, how you're not making the connection. So it is very frustrating at the beginning for sure.
Yeah. And especially was for someone like me because, like I said, I was a very different person back then.
Hmm.
I was into a lot of partying and a lot of drink and drugs and that kind of stuff back then, to overcompensate for my shyness and things like that. So
Hmm.
when I first went vegan, I didn't really know how to cope with it with my personality type. I didn't know how to talk to people about it because I was just really scared
Yeah.
about talking about it. So that kind of made me go even more into my own head, into my own world at first. But then eventually I kind of found coping mechanisms like my YouTube channel, for instance, to kind of cope with that, which has really helped over the
Yeah.
years.
Sure.
So
Yeah, you're
yeah,
expressing your emotions and your feelings.
exactly. I feel like I can express myself now better. Yeah,
Yeah, it's definitely an outlet. I found that too at the beginning. Like you kind of suppress all those feelings,
yeah,
and if you have somebody that's vegan and that you know as a friend or partner, whatever it is, it helps because then you can talk about it. Like I was lucky that with my ex-girlfriend, we went vegan at the same time, so we were kind of the support. But it was very difficult dealing with all my old friends and people that I went to school with.
yeah,
They didn't understand. They're like, "Oh, he went crazy. He joined this vegan cult now." Like blah blah blah.
yeah. That was hard too. I didn't exactly lose friends. It wasn't as if they all of a sudden didn't speak to me, but they kind of faded away.
Hmm.
But it was okay because I met new friends and had a new circle of influence, and so that was good in the
Yeah,
end. So yeah,
yeah, definitely. Yeah, like I still stay in contact with some. Some just kind of didn't even want to deal with it. But definitely, yeah, like making new vegan friends. It almost felt like I gained a new family. Especially like I know it's a little different in Toronto. The community is very active and it's pretty big and it's always growing. So it might be a little easier. Like in my sense, like it is very easy to reach out to somebody that understands exactly how you feel. If you're having a down day, like whatever it is, you can just reach out to somebody. So for sure.
yeah, I think that's important as well when you first go vegan, is to have that support network and that community there.
Mhm.
And we have that now these days with things like the Vegan 22 challenge, which
Yep.
people can do. There was nothing like that when I first went vegan, other than the Veganuary challenge, which is just once a year, every
Mhm.
January. And it's changed so much from when I first went vegan. I love talking about it to people when I do my activism and explaining how different it was back then and
Mhm.
how easy it is now and how lucky people are because of all the resources we now have.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah.
Do you want to tell us why did you go vegan? What was the what did you watch? What was the turning point in your life that made you decide to go vegan?
Yes, it's very hard to pinpoint the things leading up to it, which made me decide to do it.
Hmm.
There was a few things, and I can't quite pinpoint what it was. It was just a culmination of everything. There was a time where I was watching a lot of YouTube videos by this YouTuber called Elliott Hulse. I don't know if you know of him.
No.
He is like a fitness guru, come psychology kind of. He loves psychology and all this kind of stuff. And he made a video about doing a vegan cleanse in January, like a detox,
Hmm.
and that sort of planted the seed in my mind. I was like, okay, I want to do that in January as well. I want to detox because I don't want to. I want to cleanse myself of all the alcohol and all the shit that I was eating to feel better about myself. And he isn't vegan, so that was a non-vegan
Oh,
planting the
interesting.
seed for me to go vegan. Um, and then leading up to that, I educated myself about what I was going to eat and things like that for the month. And whilst I was doing that, I decided, okay, if I actually enjoy the food and if I can get into it, then I'm gonna think about whether I want to continue this after the month. So what I did was I set myself a challenge for a week. I thought I'm gonna just eat vegan for a week.
Hmm.
And in that week, I felt so good. Like my energy levels, I just felt amazing. I was eating so much fruit and fresh fruit and vegetables in that week. I decided, right, I'm gonna educate myself now, and I watched Earthlings. I watched a couple of other documentaries prior to that saying that you should watch Earthlings because you'll make the connection. I was like, what is this thing's the connection? I don't want to. I was scared. I thought if I make the connection, that means I'll be vegan for the rest of my life and I won't get to eat tasty meat and cheese anymore.
Yep.
But yeah, within the first 5 minutes of watching that documentary, I was in absolute just tears of. I just felt so guilty and so ashamed of myself that just thought, okay, well, just gonna have to be vegan now. That's it. So I just went vegan overnight.
Nice.
Yeah, that's my vegan story.
Yeah,
I
for
guess.
me,
Yeah.
for me it was I was doing an internship for my photography before I finished school, and there was a protest outside a Loblaws here in Toronto supermarket, and I was given a flyer. I left it on my table. I was going through finals, so didn't look into it much. But then that weekend, I went to see my girlfriend, and um, she somehow got into the rabbit hole of YouTube. So all week prior to that, she's like, "Oh my god, you gotta watch this! You gotta watch this!" I'm like, "Okay, on the weekend, I'll put in the time." And then we watched Cowspiracy, What the Hell, and Forks Over Knives, like back to back to back. And then we just kind of finished watching that. We looked at each other and like, "So vegan now?" I'm like, "Yeah." I give up meat a year prior to that because I met a cow at a sanctuary. It wasn't like a farm sanctuary; it's a dog one, but they had a couple calves they rescued. And I got out of the car and like petted one of the cows, and something like just went in my head. I'm like, shit. I'm not eating meat again. Like I felt so shitty, and then we didn't know any better, so we continued vegetarian for a year until we watched those 3 documentaries on a weekend, and then overnight, same thing. I'm like, okay, I'm vegan now. And then 3 days after that, I watched Earthlings, and I'm like, okay, I need to do activism.
Oh wow, straight away to activism.
Yeah, literally,
Yeah.
like second week of going vegan, we went to our first chicken vigil,
I see
and
that as a pattern these days of a lot of people that go vegan these days. They get straight into activism,
mhm.
which is amazing. That's a reoccurring theme that I see over and over again. So that's
it's
fascinating to me. Like that
yeah,
just
it's
shows
good.
you the change, the progression, how far we've come.
Yeah, it's good. People, the movement is growing so fast, and yeah, every time I go to a vigil, there's like new faces, and it makes you feel good, and you get a lot of people bringing non-vegans, and then after literally one vigil, they're like, okay, I'm gonna try. Like I didn't know. There's something very powerful of people actually bear witnessing for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, so next question: when did you start your YouTube and why?
So I started YouTube, I guess it was 2015, but I didn't really put very much content out really
Hmm.
until 2016, where I started to do my street interviews. Prior to that, it was just, like a few recipe videos and what I eat in a day and that kind of thing.
Okay.
I started it because I just needed an outlet. I needed somewhere that I could, like, I didn't really have many vegan friends at all. And I just needed some way of expressing myself. Because I like to be creative and stuff like that. So I needed an outlet, and that's why I started it. But then I didn't really get into it until I started asking people questions in the street, and then yeah, it kind of progressed from there really. Um,
What made you want to start doing the street interviews?
it was just a way to get better about talking about veganism because I always struggled talking about it before. I didn't know how to do it. I kind of taught myself how to do it because I thought to myself, how would I want to be talked to if I wasn't vegan? about this subject. Like, what's the best way to do it? And I just thought, well, the best way is just to ask people questions and don't assume things of them. Just ask them about their own belief system and how their belief system compares like with reality and stuff like that, to get them towards the logical conclusion of veganism. But I wanted to do it in a way that wasn't confrontational, that wasn't going to make them argue back and stuff like that. I wanted it to be like a nice interaction. So I always have like an intention in my mind, what I want the outcome to be and how I want the interaction to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that is just like a friendly conversation. Because I think that gets people thinking a lot more into it rather than double downing on their, like, I'm never going to give up eating meat because of what you've told me.
Was there someone that inspired you to do street interviews, or was that just your decision?
Joey Carbstrong.
Carbstrong? Okay.
Sure, yeah, 100%. Yes. He was the one that inspired me. I started watching his videos way back. Probably, like 2015, I started watching his videos just as he was starting to do the street outreach, like Joey versus the public.
Okay, yeah.
Number one. And I just love him so much. Like, he is so bold, but he gets away with talking to people not in an aggressive way, but just really without any fear.
No bullshit. I mean?
Yeah, no bullshit. Yeah, he talks to people as if they're his friends, or as if you would with a brother or a sister. Like, I'm not going to bullshit you. This is what's happening. And I just love that about him. And I just wanted to replicate that, but in my own kind of style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was definitely a big inspiration for me too. I think we found James Aspie first, like his videos, and then Joey, and then Earthly Ned. But Joey was the one that I kind of related the most because of the way he handles himself. It's like, kind of reminded me of some of my friends. Just no bullshit, just straight to your face, get to the point. And then after I did that first vigil, or my second vigil actually, some dude got out of his car and he was like just talking shit to me, yelling, insulting me. He was telling the driver, run this piece of shit over. He was just being one of those guys. But I kind of thought of Joey, and like I stayed cool, I stayed respectful. And then he ended up giving me a shout out on Facebook about that video. He's like, oh, look at this guy a month in and he's already doing activism. So that like motivated me even more to, I'm like, okay, I'm doing something that is good, and like people in the community are appreciating it. And I love Joey as well. Like he's one of my favorites. Yeah,
he is mine. He's a legend.
He is a legend.
Yeah, because he's not just inspired me to do it, but countless others as well, like you say, like yourself. Mm-hmm. Like people like Ed as well. So
yeah, Earthly Ned just has that. That's a good thing, that at least we have a lot of contrast and like different ways of people doing their activism. Like you have James Aspie, which is, I don't know, he has this like more of a big presence in a way in the community. Joey is kind of like the badass in there, and then Earthly Ned is like the sweetheart.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I met Ed a few weeks ago. He was here in Toronto doing the bear witnessing with us at the cow vigils and stuff. And yeah, it's like when he starts talking, just like everybody is just like surrounds him, and it's like everybody's almost like just captivated by the way he speaks. And we attended his workshop, which was really, really inspirational as well. Like really, really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Ed is such a good public speaker as well.
Yeah.
Very, very good. So's Joey, so's James.
You've done videos with Earthly Ned, right?
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, the early days, we used to go out to Trafalgar Square and Camden Town. Yeah, nice. Just to do some videos together. Yeah, it's interesting to see what we were like back then compared to what we're like now. Mm-hmm. It's been a journey. Yeah, Ed's progressed so much. Like I'm so proud of him. Like I've known him from the start, since he started his channel, and I got in contact with him when he did 30 excuses in 30 days to start his channel.
Mhm.
Every single day he's putting a video out. I was like, who is this guy? He is amazing. He's putting a video out every single day and just going through all the logical fallacies. Yeah, I had a lot of respect for him. Yeah.
Well, you should be proud of yourself too. Like, you're doing an amazing job. Your channel is pretty awesome, and like I said, you're inspiring a lot of people too. Like, I've heard about your name before, but then I've never watched any of your videos. And then I started binge watching your videos, and I'm like, damn, I'm like, that's the kind of street interviews I want to do. That's how I want to like do it. And I kind of took some of those tips and like I started using them in the outreach on the AV cubes. Because I usually would go and just film because I was having a little bit of like social anxiety. Like, I don't know, I didn't want to deal with assholes. But it was all just in my head because once I started like just having the conversations, being chill about it, like I knocking on wood, I haven't had a bad conversation yet. Like, nobody's been one of those assholes always, well, carnivores or lions. So like, I haven't had any of that yet. I had one guy kind of, but I was able to turn it around. But everybody that's stopped at the AV cubes that I've attended to, like, they just see this, they're like horrified by it, start the conversation, and then everybody's been really positive and they're like, yeah, I literally want to sign up for the vegan 22. I want to make a change. Like, this has to stop. So it's been really, really positive. So thank you as well for the inspiration.
Oh, it's great to know that you know, my back catalogue, as people are still watching it now, or my old videos and stuff, which is kind of cool, you know. I still want to progress and do better. Every time I do a video, I want to.
It shows though.
You know, like,
I've seen some of the old ones, and then like I've seen the most recent ones, and you can tell like like I said, you've gone so much better to speaking to people. Like, I don't know. I really, really enjoy them.
I think it's really important as well to just do what you can. Don't be scared or shy, or don't get anxious about, oh, am I going to be good enough? Just do it anyway. Do what you can, because what other choice have we got? You know, we need everyone we need every single vegan to get out there and do something. If every single vegan got out there and did just their bit, whatever that is that they can do, think how much change that would make, like, overnight. Exactly. If everyone got out there and did something, even just giving out a flyer, or you know,
even with the food, doing recipes, like that's why I had a different channel that I was kind of like vegan branded, but then I decided to kibosh that and just keep the one that I have. So mine is like going now through, like, I show the drumming video, so I'm still kind of grabbing some of the music people, and maybe that will lead them into seeing some of the other videos and plant seeds. And then I do a little bit of like the AV cubes. I do a bit of the vigils. Doing this podcast, so I'm like trying to do a little bit of everything, and that way I can like have a broad like net where I can catch people and get them into our vegan side.
Cool.
Okay, $1 million question: is it hard to be vegan?
Do you know what? I don't even think about it anymore. Like, it's nothing to really think about. I don't wake up and think, oh, I'm vegan today. Like, how am I going to get through the day? Maybe I did at the start because didn't really know what to eat at the start because I didn't have any resources.
Mm-hmm.
There were some things on YouTube, but it was more freely Endurian rider kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? So I just eat normal foods. It's just the vegan versions of my favorite food. The hardest thing about being vegan, I would say, is talking to people about veganism, and that's not really a problem for me now these days either. So no, it's not hard to be vegan. It's just I just eat food like every other normal person.
Yeah, that's I don't know. I don't know why people think that it's gonna be difficult, and like it's the easiest thing. And coming from somebody like me too, that I never ate vegetables. I was almost an anti-vegetable person. Like, I was just eating a lot of cheese and meat, and like I wasn't healthy at all. And I never liked to cook. And then the transition, like, of enjoying cooking, enjoying eating so many good vegetables and fruits, and like I find it too, I'm more adventurous too with the food I eat. As
Yeah.
before, I had kind of like the thing that I liked, and I always ate it like every day. Now I'm like, oh, let's try this, try this. Wow, that's made out of what? Like, it's so, like, I find that it's so awesome. Like every time I'm like trying something new, and I'm like, God damn it! I'm like, I
Yeah.
wish I was vegan like all my life, because there's such good food out there.
I I definitely know that my taste buds have changed so much since going vegan. And now I notice when I eat junk food,
Hmm.
it's not good. It like destroys my mouth.
Yep.
Um, I love healthy food. It's just so much more tasty to me these days. I love it. I feel just better in myself, healthier. I feel younger. So really, veganism is easier than being non-vegan for me because I don't have any joint problems anymore from exercise or anything like that. I don't have inflammation. I don't wake up bunged up every day from all the dairy that I was
Hmm.
consuming before. I don't have brain fog like I used to
Yep.
from I will if I eat junk food because you can still be eat a lot of, you know, junk food vegan.
Yeah.
You have to be careful, but yeah, I think it's easier to be vegan.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Like that was one of my worries too. Like I was, like everybody says, I thought it was going to be hard, and especially because I'm like, I don't like vegetables, so I don't know what I'm going to eat. But then, like, once you start feeling and so good, and you wake up with energy, like my stomach hasn't hurt once since I went vegan. Like, as before, I would wake up and I'm like, I should have not ate that, or just felt like shit every day. Like low energy, my depression was through the roof, panic attacks, anxiety. Like, that's, I'm not saying that veganism cured it, but for sure, like, it helped keep it under control. And like, I wake up with energy, even if I feel a little down just from the reality of the world and shit is happening to animals or whatever. Like, I'm able to channelize that and make it a positive thing. Like, okay, well, if you woke up angry or you woke up sad today, let's go make a video. Let's do something that would help towards stopping that.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing I would add to that is you don't really know you're sick until you're well sometimes.
Exactly.
And that's what it was like. I know I keep talking about like how good I felt when I went vegan.
No, it's true.
Now it's now it's like I feel normal. It's not like I wake up and I feel amazing every day. I just
Yeah.
feel like a normal this is my normal kind of plateau now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't know I was sick until I got better,
Yeah, in
basically.
contrast
Yeah.
with how you felt before, like how I felt before, yeah, it's like I thought it was normal to wake up feeling like shit. I'm like, well, that's just
Yeah.
how it is. Like, what am I gonna do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I actually feel younger now. I'm 35 than I did when I was late 20s,
I
early
agree with that
20s
too.
even,
I'm
which is just
32.
like mm,
I'm 32, and definitely I feel like I'm like in my 20s. Like, I just turned 22 instead of 32.
vegan gains, baby.
Fuck yeah. Um Okay, on your AV conversations or your street interviews, which is there one conversation that you can say it was one of the best ones, one that stayed in your mind because it was just so positive, or very awesome?
There's nothing that really sticks out because I have so many. I've had quite a few recently where it's just been so easy
Mhm.
for people just to make the connection. I haven't really needed to do very much work other than just prompts them with just maybe 2 or 3 questions.
Amazing.
Really basic, simple stuff. You don't really need to go into any great detail. I think the simpler language you can use and the bare minimum of questions that you can use, the better the effect.
Yep.
So, just maybe recently I saw there was a couple in Cambridge and I just asked them, they just saw the footage and they just thought it was disgusting. I asked them, do you agree that animal cruelty is wrong? Yes, of course. Is there a humane way to kill an animal that doesn't want to die? No, of course not. Yeah, you can see them thinking about it like, no, yeah, you're right. It's just as simple as that. Just like 2 or 3 questions. Do you think do you think you need animal products to survive or to be healthy? And they think about it. From that point, they say things like, well, what about protein? What about iron? What about B12? And then you just educate them. It's just as easy as that. And yeah, those conversations are the best.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is there one that you maybe remember that was really, really bad, or just you just kind of like lost it, or you're like, fuck?
Yeah, there's been a few that I haven't uploaded actually, and I don't know. I'm debating whether to do so or not. Probably will do. Maybe I might do like a montage of bad
The
moments
worst? Yeah, yeah.
because I think just for dramatical effects, because pure entertainment
Hmm.
factor. Uh, the one that sticks out in my mind though was a couple of years ago where uh, I did a clip for plant-based news.
Okay.
I don't know. Do you know plant-based news,
Yeah, yeah,
the channel?
yeah, for sure.
And so I went out into my city, and I can't remember the question I asked now, but it was to do. It was some kind of news article I was asking the public about animal rights, and the girl that there's a gang of girls that I was talking to, and one of the girls, she was saying after all we talked about, she said, "Yeah, that's fine, but I'm still gonna go home and eat chicken tonight." And that just like triggered me. I was like, right. I said, do you prioritize taste over life? You prioritize taste over life, then, don't you? And she went to take a sip of her Starbucks frappe or whatever it was, and you
Yeah.
could just see her going like that, and then putting it down again and thinking. And she was like, "Well, I don't think that's a fair question, but yeah, if you put it that way, yeah, all right, I do." I was just like, yes.
You
It
still
was
you still
just
turned it
such a
around.
yeah, it was such a kind of cinematic moment. You know, you have those moments that kind of live on forever because they're just like everything was just perfect kind of thing. And it's yeah, I don't really get very many moments like that, but I just love watching that scene back because it was funny.
Yeah, I think you should make the montage with the worst moments of the AV. It
Yeah.
still shows people how, like, because at the end of the day when you watch those videos, you see how some people are just ridiculous on the answers they give, on the way that like they try to argue against it. And you see
Yeah.
them getting angry because you know deep inside they're feeling like a hypocrite and they're just
Mhm.
projecting, right?
Sometimes you'll be doing everything right. You'll be using the Socratic method. You'll be just asking them questions in a friendly manner. And I've had a couple of situations. It happens really, really rarely, where people are they just get really triggered,
Hmm.
and they respond by telling you that you're doing it. Your activism isn't working, and you're doing it all wrong, and you're making them feel bad and making them feel guilty and stuff like this. Yeah, I've had that a couple of times, which can kind of demotivate you a little bit, but you have to get over it and just think to yourself, well, I've had so many good conversations and so
Yeah.
much good is coming out of this. Just need to get over it and move on. So I've
Well,
had
and
lots of bad conversations too.
there's a reason why they're feeling bad. Like, and for all you know, they might go home and they'll keep, whether it's because they're angry, they'll keep replaying that conversation. Maybe like, I think as a reverse inception too. Like it's gonna be drilling themselves too, and then maybe the seed will slowly
Yeah.
start growing. Maybe next time they go and buy something, be like, oh, I remember that girl. I remember that guy that told me this.
Yeah.
But then maybe they're like, maybe they are right. Like you never know. Maybe you'll get a message from one of those people in a few years, be like, hey, remember me? I was really triggered years ago. I'm vegan now, by the way.
Well, it's interesting because I'm not perfect, and some days I have bad days, and I just take it out on people I meet at AV events.
Damn
You know,
carnist.
I do, and I just go into debate mode, and I'll come on, debate me then, bro, debate me. Do you know what I mean? I just go into that kind of mode, and that's when I know I have to sort of reset and think, right, what's my intention here?
Mhm.
How do I want this to play out, and how do I want it to end? And do I want them to leave with a card, or do I want them to leave telling me off or telling, shouting at me and walking away enough. So yeah, it's hard sometimes, but you just have to change your attitude and just trying to ground yourself, I guess.
That's why it's good to being part of Ask Yourself Discord and stuff, that you're able to kind of do that type of debates where they can get a little more heated, and it's more, you can let out some
Balance it
steam
out.
in there. And then
Yeah.
when you go to the street, you have to be a little more compassionate, more chill, like.
Yeah, because everyone thinks I'm really kind and compassionate, and everyone thinks, oh, she's like the sweetest person. But really, in my mind, sometimes I'm like, fuck you.
That's on the Discord you can just slay people.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you want to maybe switch a little bit more into like tips for people that maybe vegans that are not active, maybe have been thinking about it, but they're not sure. Do you have some tips for people to start being active?
Yeah, I guess find some local events in your area. There's going to be tons of things on Facebook, groups that you can join and make friends with people and get into a community of other vegan activists if you want to get active, and just go along to some events, and you don't have to go there with the intention of talking to anyone or doing anything. Just show up and shadow people and just listen to the conversations and see what they do. And just take baby steps into it, because that's how I started out. I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew that I had that intention. I need to do something. I needed to do something, because otherwise, like, my life was just going to get worse and worse.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to do it for my own benefit, really. So just, I would say just find something that you can go along to, that you can shadow people, and then decide what you're going to do from there, and just maybe set yourself little goals each time you do something.
Mm-hmm.
For me, what I did is I started talking to people, but I gave them a picture of a vegan sidekick picture. It said, like, I don't know if you've seen that video where it's
the guy with the dog. Yes, I love that.
Yeah, and I did that because the picture explains everything. You don't need any words to explain the picture. The picture speaks for itself. It screams hypocrisy. And that was a good way for me to show people, reflect their own hypocrisy back to them, but without telling them they're a hypocrite.
Nice.
To see how they react to it. And I said to myself, I don't even need to, I'll just ask them, what does this picture mean? And I don't have to ask them any questions. I could just leave it as that and just film that, and that'll be the video. But naturally, I did start asking questions about it. It just flowed, and I found actually I gained more confidence by starting just setting myself really low goals, like low bar stuff, and then progressing from there.
Nice. Yeah, and people should be aware that you don't have to do all kinds of activism. I know I have a lot of people in the community that they're not able to do vigils. Just they think they're too empathetic, and they're like, I would just be crying the whole time, and that's fine. They do a lot of outreach, like at AV Cubes, and even if you go to a cube, just as simple as being the one holding the sign of truth, or holding one of the screens with the mask, that is helping. And then being there, you can hear the conversations, and then when you feel a little more comfortable, then you can shadow one of the outreachers that have more experience, and then slowly start getting into it if that's something that you feel comfortable with. Other people can do, they're great at cooking, share vegan food, share vegan recipes, talk about the vlogs of what I ate in a day, more in the health side. Some other people can do girls especially talk about makeup, talk about cruelty-free items. That's the beauty of the community and the movement, that there's lots of aspects and there's always something going on. And even if you live in a city that maybe is not as active, there's not as many vegans, you can start your own shit too. I showed you the video of Liber Eat that started here in Toronto. instead of waiting for a DXC event where there's a lot of people, grab a friend with a camera and tell him to film and go on your own and do your spiel. Like we're actually going to shoot another one next week at a mall. So that one's
Oh wow, yeah.
it's going to be a little, he was going to wait for that one like maybe in a few months, but he's like, no, screw it. We're doing the big one. So
Oh, great,
stay tuned
yeah.
for that. That one's going to be epic.
Yeah, I love that video. It's inspired me to want to start doing something like that. I think that's going to be my next kind of thing that I want to develop into, but it scares the hell out of me. But
same.
That's the thing about activism. It really puts you out of your comfort zone, which is character building.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that is so important to me. The self-development stuff, and activism has allowed me to build my character in that way. So I think moving forwards, yeah, I'd like to do more direct action kind of stuff. I feel like it's not really me, but it could be. I could put my own stamp and my own style into it. Yeah, I have a megaphone. I've never used it. So it's a small one. It's not very loud. It's not like Glenn Goldberg's Thunder Power 1200 or whatever it is.
No, that would be really cool to see. And yeah, it can be something small, like going into a KFC, some place, a McDonald's, something, and just saying something for a couple minutes and then just walking out. You never know what's gonna happen. I remember 2 other guys did a solo disruption. They went into a Dairy Queen, which is like an ice cream place here, and they just went in and they're saying some stuff about dairy. One of them, the other one was filming, and literally, like, most people were just kind of like, whatever, shut up, guys. Then some guy like walked in, stopped, listened to like 30 seconds of what they were saying, and then he's like, he turned around and he's like, okay, yeah, I'm not eating ice cream today. And then they stopped him outside, and he's like, why did you turn around? He's like, well, you guys made me think about it, and like I didn't know this. And so it works, even if it's one person. You don't know how one person is gonna affect other people. They go home, they maybe go vegan down the line, and then they turn people vegan. Like, it all spreads for sure.
Yeah, and I don't know how many videos you've seen on my channel, but about a year or 2 ago, or a year and a half ago, there was a guy that I went to go and see in London, another YouTuber by the name of Danny Shine. And
I think I've seen that one.
Okay, what he does is he goes out in London and he complains about things in general on a megaphone. Nice. And he does it in a way that draws a lot of attention to himself, where the police will come and tell him off. But then he'll just talk to them on the megaphone, like, are you going to arrest me? What am I doing wrong? I'm just talking to people in the street on my megaphone, just complaining about things in general. He'll do stuff like go into supermarkets and read poetry really loudly and stuff like this about, I don't know, he'll just read excerpts from 1984 and stuff like that. Just general disruption to see people's reactions to it and stuff.
That sounds awesome.
So me and my friend, we went to go and see him, and we tried it. I read a book really loudly in a bookstore, and my heart was like, oh my God, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And I just loved it. And since then, because we knew that he was vegetarian, and we spoke to him about his son who was vegan, his 10-year-old son at the time. And we talked to him a bit. He's vegan now.
Nice.
He's vegan, and he's talking about it on the megaphone.
Awesome.
And he's done it at, do you know Speaker's Corner in Hyde Park here in England? It's quite famous, where people can go and they'll hold a sign and they'll just talk to the public about a subject, and then the public interact. It's a really cool place. He talks about veganism there, and so he's kind of inspired me a bit to get into the megaphoning kind of side of things, but I don't know if I'll go free for it. I need to take baby steps into it, I think.
Yeah, I started like maybe at a small shop where you might not go by very often, and then scale it up. Yeah, I'm a little, I don't know, I'm a little shy too, so I'm like, I don't know about that. Even when my friend was doing the one at Whole Foods, like, my heart was pounding too. I was just waiting for a security guard to like grab me and like, get the hell out of here. But It was weird. Like nobody stopped us. There was some guy that he was standing behind me and he was just like listening to the whole thing. Some of the workers just kind of looked at us and they're like, they we've disrupted so many times that one location
Yeah.
too, like with big groups too, that they're like they kind of expect it every so often. But yeah, some of the workers like looked at us and they're like, not until we started like moving a little bit. One of them like, oh, you guys gotta go, and we're like, yeah, no problem. Then we started chanting on the way out.
Yeah.
Not until we got to like the escalator, that's when I noticed that there was a security guard behind me, but he never even said a word. He was just making sure that we left. That was all.
I remember one time when me and Ed were in the Camden Market, and there's a fur vendor there. I think it's closed down now due
Nice.
to public reaction to it, which is good. And we went in there, and Ed started giving the shop owner some grief about the fur and like, where does this come from? Do you what animals were killed for this, that, and the other? And the vendor was just like, get out, get out. He called security straight away, and the security guard sort of didn't march us away, but it said, oh, yeah, you need to leave. But the security guard was on our side, and we were
Nice.
just all the way going out of the Camden Market. We were chatting to the security guard about veganism. I gave him a vegan chocolate bar, and Ed gave him a leaflet or something. It was great.
That's awesome. See?
So yeah.
No, that's good. Even with the cops, we've noticed a little bit of a change. Like they come just to make sure that things don't get violent or whatever, but they don't. Like today, the one of the guys, he was being a bit of a dick, and he was taking down some of the posters we're putting in like a city poll. And then like some people are getting triggered, but then I guess he's the one that called the cops. So it was like 3 cop cars that showed up, and we're like, well, we're not being violent. We're almost done. We're just here. They're like, okay, we just want to make sure, like, we have no problem with what you guys are doing. Like, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Just make sure that nobody like call names to the workers here or harass. And we're like, no, we're not doing that. We're here just to say our thing, and like, we're not here to attack them. We're attacking the concept of the industry and whatever they're doing, not people specifically. But some of them are like, they always yell at like, oh, go get a job and blah blah blah. Like there's other issues, but like they always try to turn it around because they know like they're contributing to something that's not good and it's cruel as fuck.
Yeah, generally the cops are fairly good at the saves. Like they understand why you're doing it, because you generally get the same ones every time. It's only the ones that maybe they're new to it. They have a lot of judgment about the activists and stuff, but the ones that see you all the time, like they know, and they've been spoken to so many times about veganism that
they're nice to us.
Yeah. It's only the media perception of vegan activists, particularly in the UK, is they have this. They're painting vegan activists as some kind of domestic terrorists or something like this. Especially with, I don't know if you've followed Joey since he's been here in the media, and how he's been portrayed with what's his name?
Piers Morgan.
Piers Morgan, that's it. Yeah,
you're not a baby cow, bro. That was the most epic thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was just trying to attack his character and like, oh well, you did this back in the day and you said this, like, yeah, in the past, and I don't advocate for that anymore. That's like he kept going to that. But that
so ridiculous. Like
he's a clown. Piers is a clown for sure.
Yeah, so that's how the media portray vegan activists in this country. It's getting better, but it doesn't actually have anything to do with the reality of the situation. The police don't really have any problems with us.
Yeah.
And neither do the farmers, really. Some of them just try and argue and stuff. And some of them do get aggressive, like we've seen with that farmer who tried to jump out of the car and punch Ed. And
of all people, Ed too. Like, no, we had actually last Cube, there was one guy that he started like, he was trying to make a scene. He's like, oh, you guys you hate farmers, and like, well, farmers are helping you, but you're trying to attack us. You're trying to put us out of business. And we're like, dude, no, like, we're not saying go out of business. Maybe switch to something that's plant-based. We want you to still have a job. Imagine you're going to save money. It's going to be easier for you to produce this stuff. So why not do it?
Yeah. And what they don't understand is that veganism is a principled argument, not just a pragmatic argument.
Yeah.
So we're not saying we're not vegan because we want to put farmers out of business. We're vegan because we're against animal cruelty.
Yeah.
So that's the principle of it. Just
Yeah.
hard for them to understand, but yeah, I think Joey's quite good at explaining it to farmers. I've seen him.
Yeah,
I mean,
I've enjoyed his TV appearances and stuff, and like it's just you can tell that he always stands his ground too. Like he doesn't matter what they're saying, he's there with a concrete, very straightforward
yes.
message, and doesn't matter, like he's just kind of dodging the bullets Matrix style, and like, no, this is what it is.
Yeah, he stays really on point, really on the subject, doesn't let people dodge.
Yeah, or try
which
to
is,
veer it a different way.
Yeah, try and weasel out of argument stuff. No, he keeps them right on point, and he's unapologetic, which I think is really important. You should never apologize for speaking up for the victims. Definitely.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah, never apologize for that. And never apologize when people get upset about seeing if you're AV or doing anything like this. Don't apologize to people about what they're seeing. Tell them that what they're seeing and how they're reacting to it is a normal, rational response to cruelty. Yeah, make them understand that.
Cool.
I think that's important.
Okay, if you would you give us a bit of a quick kind of like workshop on the street interview or outreach at Cubes? I know you use what you called it, what is it, the Socratic
The Socratic Method?
Yeah. If you can give us a rundown for people that don't know, even myself, like I've heard about it, but I don't know exactly what it entitles.
So, okay, Socratic Method is where you ask questions, open-ended questions. So not just questions that require a yes or a no answer, but you will just propose something to them first. So there'll be something on the table that you're going to discuss. So in this instance, it's animal cruelty, and then you'll get their perspective on it first. So you need to listen. You need to actually listen to them, actively listen to someone, rather than just thinking about what you're going to say to them next. So to establish what their beliefs are on a subject, and then you can break down their belief system by asking them why they think in that way. So why they believe what they believe, and how the very important thing is, how did they come to that conclusion? Because not a lot of people know how they came to a conclusion. They just believe something without knowing why they believe it. Like there's no back story to it. They just believe it. And once they understand that, oh, wait a minute, how did I come to this conclusion? Why do I believe this? I've got no sort of framework for believing in this thing. And that's where the questions come into it, to break down that conditioning. It's making people understand that they have been conditioned since birth to believe that it's okay, it's necessary, it's natural to eat animal products, and they've never questioned it throughout their whole lives. So yeah, just that's the Socratic method. I don't know if I've explained that very well, or whether you understand how that works, but
yeah, no, for sure I do. So
it's basically asking them questions to lead them to the logical conclusion of their own belief system. Yeah.
So what's your approach when you start the street interviews? Do you how do you pick the people that you're going to talk to? What are you thinking before you approach somebody? Like, what's your method before you start shooting one of those videos?
I try not to think about it too much. I feel like if I overthink what I'm going to say or how I'm going to approach them, then it doesn't go too well. The best conversations are just when I just don't think about it. I just talk to the first person I see. Anonymous of the Voice, the Cube of Truth events have really helped me with that, because you have to talk to anybody that's been standing there watching the footage, regardless of who they are, their background, race, gender, everything. You just will talk to that person because they are reacting to what they're seeing on the screen. So yeah, the method is try and be friendly to them first. So just normal, natural, like, hey, how are you? How you doing? Because then they know that you're not a threat to them. You're not just going to bombard them with stuff. So always think, okay, how would I like to be approached? What would be not a weird way of somebody approaching me?
Sure.
And then I would then ask, well, have you seen this kind of footage before? Have you seen anything like this before? And normally quite a lot of people say, yeah, they have actually these days on Facebook. And then I'll just ask them, well, how do you feel about it? How does this make you feel? Or I'll give them a little bit of education first. So I'll say, well, just to give you some context, we're showing, in my case, a UK industry standard slaughterhouse and farming practices. And we're showing RSPCA approved, Red Tractor approved. We're showing the free range animals. We're showing the high welfare animals, the organic animals. They all go to the same slaughterhouse like you're seeing on the screen here. How do you feel about it? And that really opens up a good conversation from there. 9 times out of 10, people don't agree with what they're seeing, or they don't agree with animal cruelty. When you ask them, do you think that animal cruelty is wrong? And then it's just a case of, well, do you think that there is a good way to kill these animals who don't want to die? And then it's just a case of, can you, they'll say, yeah, I think there is, maybe we could do it in a better way, in a way that doesn't cause them any pain or suffering. And then I'll just say, well, can you describe that to me in detail? What does that look like?
Yeah.
And that really gets them going, like, oh God. When they start describing it, it makes them feel uncomfortable. And you can see that in their face. You can see how uncomfortable they're getting. That's something that you can work with, because then you can say, why do you feel uncomfortable about describing that to me? Would you think that would be a good way of killing an animal like a dog or a cat, a dolphin, a species like that? And then, what is the difference between all those species? Is there anything that separates those species that would justify the difference in treatment? Just breaking it down like that, that really gets people thinking.
Do you apply
and asking themselves questions?
You apply kind of like the name the trait into this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to be honest, I don't really have to use the name the trait argument too much in street activism, because it never really needs to get that far.
Yeah.
It never really does, because people are far more willing to accept what they're seeing as the truth, and they're already thinking about it anyway. So they don't really have that many excuses. It's normally a case of them asking genuine questions about, okay, where do I get my protein from? What about the health implications of going vegan? Veganism isn't convenient, or it's too expensive. All these kinds of questions, which those are the kinds of questions where they're taking veganism seriously, and they're just asking genuine questions because they don't know where to get their protein from on a vegan diet. So it never really needs to go to the name the trait argument, but it can be a useful way to get people thinking about speciesism, about them asking themselves question, why do we treat these all these different species separately? What is the difference between them? Because I wouldn't want to treat a dog in this way, but is there a difference between a dog and a pig? So, is there a moral distinction between a pig and a dog? Yeah, so it can be really handy, but you don't need to say it in a way that like Ask Yourself does.
Yeah, no, that's
you don't have to break it down that much.
Yeah, for sure. Even when he came to the AVQ, like I noticed that he was doing the outreach, and that it wasn't like it was a different side of Isaac for sure. I'm like, oh, he's like being so nice and so like approachable, and like it was kind of cool to see him in that light.
Yeah, everyone thinks that he's going to be like the logical robot in real life at an outreach event. He's just like a normal guy.
Yep.
Of course, he's going to talk. He's going to change his style of communication depending on who he's talking to. You know, like you'll see him normally debating carnists that have got issues that want to talk about the philosophical arguments and stuff like this.
Yeah.
That's what you're used to seeing from him, but you never see him at activism events. People just assume he's going to be going to debate mode with them, but no, of course not. He's just going to adapt his communication style depending on who he's talking to.
Yeah, even with
any
Richard,
person would.
even with Richard Vegan Gaines, like people like I don't know, people think that he's always angry or like he's so nice. He's very he's decent. He's very respectable. Like he's respectful. He was talking to at the Cube. He was talking to kids. He was talking to like that. It didn't matter, and he's like I don't know. It was really really good to see this other side of them. Like not the regular because they see their videos and they think that they're always angry, especially Richard, that he's always snapping or like oh he's an asshole. And like total opposite. That's like he's bringing humor and like this is his style of videos that he makes, but like he's just like anybody else. He's just a decent person and he's just trying to fight for animals. Like
yeah, exactly. I'd love to meet those guys as well. I'd love to come to Canada and meet all the activists and all the YouTubers, especially Isaac and Richard, obviously, because I've followed them for so long and I chat to them quite a lot, especially Isaac. So, in the Discord.
Yeah, it would be cool to when you guys come do like a big meetup, go have some food and and film some stuff.
Yeah, especially want to come to Canada because of the amount of good vegan food that you have there.
And Toronto is crazy.
You can't get any of the stuff in the UK. I'm so gutted that the Beyond Meat burger, which I've been waiting for years and years and years now, it seems, isn't now. It's been put on hold once again in Tesco's because they actually can't produce enough to meet the demand. So they've postponed the date now, which I'm gutted about. I thought it was going to be any day now. But
yeah, here we A&W, which is a burger joint. I think it's all across Canada. They have the Beyond Meat burger, and it's like they've been selling out too, just because people are like going crazy for it. But it's good to see a big chain of what we used to consider just a big carnist chain of burgers that they know where things are going and they're given an option. Like it might not. There was a little bit of an issue here with vegans, especially because they're like, oh, well, it's not vegan. Like it's not meant like directly for vegans. It's an option to show carnists and people that are not vegan that they don't have to eat meat, that it does taste good, that there is options, and it's a good transition, right?
Oh yeah, that's such a problem that I have with especially a lot of people that comment, carnists that comment on my videos and things. They'll say, why do you eat fake meat and products that taste and look like animal products? That's not vegan. They somehow think that's not vegan, and they're trying to paint a picture like you're a hypocrite because you're replicating animal products. It's like, no, I didn't go vegan because I didn't like the taste of meat and dairy and eggs and stuff. That's not the reason. I love the taste of meat. I'm not going to deny that.
Yeah.
And I really miss the taste of fish. I haven't found any products that replicate that. There is more now, but I don't feel guilty for eating the mock meats and the burgers and
not at all. Like,
the sausages and stuff like that. I love it.
They're delicious.
Too right.
And they're really good options to like at the beginning, especially to help you transition and not get the cravings that maybe you might feel from cheese or from meat. And like, who cares? It tastes good. It's plant-based. It's good. Do you guys have what's this brand? Gardein in the UK?
Not yet. I think it might have come out recently in Sainsbury's.
Okay.
But I think it's the chicken strips, and I think it still has egg in it or something.
Oh,
But I
okay,
haven't
perfect.
seen, I haven't been to that supermarket. It's only in like bigger stores to check it out. So I don't think so. But I've heard a lot about Gardein.
Yeah, hopefully you guys get them. Like they're amazing. Like, and they have a lot of good options. That will be the one that their fish cutlets or whatever it is. Like it actually tripped me out. Like I had him and I'm like, is this really not fish? It's like it was really good. Like I know you guys love like fish and chips. Like this will be the
Yeah,
thing that no, like you will give it to somebody without knowing, and they'll be like, oh my god, that was great. That was vegan, by the way. What? Like really, really good.
yeah, yeah. I do miss the flavor and the texture of the fish.
Mhm.
So yeah, these products are just so, they're just so clever. The way that they can replicate the flavor and the texture is great, and they're getting cheaper now as well.
Yeah, that's
So
the thing. Like demand keeps going up, and people like not just us vegans, but like non-vegans are starting to incorporate them into their diet just because they know it's healthier. Like it's
yeah,
not the healthiest, but it's still a better option than what you're having, and
yeah,
no animal had to die, which is
yeah, and it tastes amazing. Like the products are getting so good now that it's a lot easier to sell veganism to people based on the standard of the products, like how much they've changed over the years. Like 4.5 years ago, it was difficult to get vegan ice cream anywhere. Couldn't
Mhm.
find it anywhere. Now, when I go to Sainsbury's, they've got like a whole freezer section of different vegan ice creams and all the flavors.
Yeah, it's like even the
Amazing.
supermarket that I usually go to is called No Frills here. And the only thing that I was able to get there was like tofu. And then slowly they brought the Daya cheese, and then I'm like, okay, that's cool. Then they started bringing more stuff. Now the Gardein stuff are there. They have the pizzas now. They're like slowly bringing it in, and I also too I've had some good conversations as I'm cashing out with the cashiers and with even people that are like behind me. Like I just kind of strike up a conversation, being a bit of a smart ass. I'm like, and they say vegan is expensive, and they kind of look at my total, and they look at my stuff, and they're like, oh damn, yeah, that looks really healthy, and yeah, it is cheap. I'm like, yeah, like I don't know why people think that it's expensive. I'm like, look, you guys have these options here. The cashiers are like, oh my god, how are they? I'm like, oh, this
Yeah.
chicken, the crispy chicken from Gardena. I'm like, they're delicious. You should try. They're like, I think I'm gonna grab one today. I'm like, there you go. So yeah,
Yeah, it's great.
it's always good. I noticed too with people that know you, they're the ones that bring it up. Usually, like if it's somebody that I've talked to them about it, and whether they were receptive or not as receptive, I kind of leave it alone. But I notice that people are like they look out for vegan stuff, or they're the ones that bring up the conversation, like, oh,
Mm.
vegan this, or I saw this thing, or blah blah blah, and I don't know.
Yeah, that's so true. I'm never normally the one that brings it up. It's somebody notices that, I don't know, like at work, for instance, oh, you can't eat this, can you? And I'm like, no, it's not that I can't, it's that I choose not to. And it's sort of they ask me questions based on that.
Yeah.
It's like, why is she saying this? Like, what's wrong with her?
No, it's
But
good.
yeah, yeah, I'm always like really frank and honest about it, But I do it in a way that people just want to ask more questions about it, and it's always a case of, oh yeah, there's so many vegan options now. There's so many more vegan options on the menu. All these restaurants that I go to, it's like, yeah, you should try it.
No, and
So
we can tell that it's changing so much. There's a big chain of supermarkets here called Metro, and I've noticed they're like the milk, the regular milk, whatever dairy section just keeps shrinking and shrinking, and now it's all like
yeah,
million of plant based, and it's like right in the front. Even all the like, there's a lot of north of the city here. There's a lot of Italians, and we've noticed the older Italians, the nonos and nonas, they're switching to almond milk because people are like
mm,
realizing, they're like, well, why am I gonna drink this thing that makes me feel like shit? I'm getting old. Like they can barely walk, and like they start trying this almond milk or whatever soy milk and all this stuff, and like the demand has gone up so much. Like it's
Yeah.
the future will be vegan for sure. Like
Oh, definitely for sure. I don't People doubt it, but I can see it. I'm with Joey. Like Joey believes it, and I think he's right, you know. Like we need to have that kind of attitude.
yeah,
I know it's kind of it is based on faith, but I think you got to have that energy, that drive, that positivity to inspire change. You got to believe it. You got to want it, and I think we can all make a difference. Like I was saying, like if everyone that's vegan just does something, just does their bit, because a lot of people they don't talk about it at all
hmm
because they're scared. Um, but
yeah, because
imagine if
people
we
can
did.
judge you,
Imagine,
right?
yeah. But that's their own problem. It's not your problem.
Yep,
So you shouldn't worry about what anyone thinks about you because you're not going to change.
exactly.
It's that yeah. So
No, I've noticed. Yeah, I noticed there is a really big positive like change, and like even just last night, I was on my Instagram and I got a random message from a girl that I went to school. I haven't talked to her in like a year probably, and she just sent me a message. She's like, "Hey, so I'm thinking of going vegan." And I'm like, "What?" Like just out of the sudden, and then I think it was a video that I posted on my Instagram. I have 3 Instagram accounts, but one of them I usually put more graphic stuff. I haven't in
yeah.
a while. And then last week or a few days ago, I put some graphic stuff, and I think she watched one of those things, and she's like, "Yeah,
Mm,
I'm thinking of going vegan." I'm like, "Awesome!" So, and that's another thing that made me realize, like, you need a little bit of everything. Some people might not want to see the slaughterhouse footage or the graphic stuff, but some people, all it takes is for them to see it once, and then they're like, "Shit, I don't want that to happen." Like,
yeah. And literally when you think about it, it is a numbers game.
yep,
And the numbers game is literally you don't sometimes you don't have to do any work. People will just make the connection there and then instantaneously. Others will go home and think about it more and go vegan. Others will take years and it will just be you've planted that one seed and it's going to take lots of seeds for them to do it. And then eventually all the rest of the people that won't change will just change because everyone else is doing it. And then you have a vegan world. That's how it works.
yeah. I've seen people too, like they just from seeing my transition and how I've changed in the last year, seeing how I look, my they knew that I was like I used to suffer from depression and all the stuff, and I used to be like really bad with it. And just from the change, they'll message me and they're like, "Dude, like you look happy now, and like you seem more positive,
Yeah.
you look better, like you look healthy." And I'm like, those vegan gangs, and they're like, "Yeah, I should. Yeah, I'm thinking of cutting out meat. I'm thinking of this." I'm like, "There you go. If you need any help, like." Holla at me. I
Mm,
can hook you up with recipes, resources, whatever you need. So it
yes.
is easier to, and yeah, just by every day you like learn new stuff, and it makes it way easier, like to just tell people how to do it.
Mm.
Like there's no excuse anymore.
Yeah, and I think it's important as well if you're an activist to really look after yourself.
Hmm
You know, take time for yourself because you're not going to do very good work if you you're tired, you're run down, you've kind of done too much, you've burnt yourself out. You know,
Yeah,
really look after yourself as well. I think that's really important. Don't feel bad if you need to take some time out for yourself because ultimately, in the long term, you're going to do better for speaking up for the victims. Ultimately.
yeah, for sure. Like I in the last month, I've gone like pretty hard on the activism, but then like last week I was actually supposed to go to a cube, but then my mom messaged me and she's like, "Hey, do you want to go to a sanctuary with grandma?" I'm like, "Yes."
Yeah.
It was a good break. Went over there, petted some cows, fed some goats. Like it was good. Like it was a beautiful day, and that just kind of like recharged me to come back. And I'm like, okay, I kind of had my happy moment. This is
Mm.
why I'm doing it for. It's good too to see the happy animals. Like we're so
Oh
used to just
yes.
seeing the suffering, and then you go to a
Mm.
sanctuary, you see a happy cow, you see a happy pig, you interact with them, and you're like, this is why we're doing it. It's for them. And it gives you this, like, it lifts you up. It lifts your
Yeah.
spirit up.
Yeah, you have to have meaning behind what you're doing. Ultimately, it has to make sense, and you have to have some kind of reward for doing. what you're doing, you know.
Yeah, like the people, shouldn't
You
feel
should feel
bad
bad
if
about, yeah, exactly.
they
You
need to
shouldn't feel
take a
bad.
break. Like, oh, go to a concert, go watch a movie. Like, if you
Mm,
want to stay home one night and just binge watch Netflix, like, that's fine. You need to still be happy and feel good about yourself. Like, if, yeah, because we see it. We see it a lot of people, they go hard and they don't take that break. And then, it gets you ill, like mentally, physically. And
yeah.
then you can't do shit because then instead of just taking one day to get better or a day to not think about it so
Mm.
much, if you go too hard, then you're going to be looking at like 3 months, or people even just stop doing it because they burn themselves out like really hard.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, you don't want to be that person where you're more likely to be that angry
Yeah.
vegan,
We
that
we don't
gets
want that.
triggered. Yeah.
What do you think of just last couple questions?
Yeah.
What do you think about like all the kind of drama that's been kind of growing exponentially lately within the vegan community? Other activists kind of criticizing the proper way to do activism, or like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. Like, I even had some comments on the video of the solo disruption. They're like, oh, well, how is yelling at people helping and blah blah blah. Like, why do you think this is happening, and what do you think about it?
So, do you mean any kind of activism specifically?
Well,
Or
some people like they consider that like doing like whether it's a DXC disruption or even like just protests where maybe you're like yelling. Some people, everybody has like a criticism of every type of activism. I've seen people that think that AV cubes are
mm,
that they think that they're not effective, or they even just criticize like, oh, why do you have a mask and why don't they show their faces, or like I don't know. But I find that there's been a lot of criticism within the vegan community, like vegans against vegans.
yeah, I mean, I guess I've not really come up against it a lot because I don't really involve myself
Mhm.
in a lot of the drama. I don't. For me, I have sort of come away from Facebook and Twitter
Yep.
quite a bit, so I haven't really seen it, um, which I think is important for my own kind of sanity,
Yeah.
because I really want to concentrate my energy into speaking up for the voiceless victims ultimately. So I don't know really like how to. I don't know what I think about it. I guess if somebody was telling me that my activism wasn't effective,
Mhm.
then I'd ask them a lot of questions about that. Why would they would think that was the case, and what evidence do they have for that? Like, do they have any evidence for that?
True.
Probably not. I don't know, but I think that's how I would approach that. I know that a lot of people say about the Save movement. They have a lot of criticism for the Save movement.
Mhm.
They say things like, one of the things I hear a lot is the saves don't actually save animals,
Right.
so it's a stupid name, things like that. And I've heard people say that when we are bearing witness to the animals in the trucks, that it causes them more distress.
Right.
But that's I feel like that's coming from the actual farming community
Yep.
more than anyone else. So it's not so much vegans saying those kinds of things. Um, but
Yeah,
the same way doing.
I think as the industry is like actually scared that because the movement is growing and they start seeing that the numbers are growing, more people are
Mm,
coming to the vigils. Like the one where Earthly Ned was here, like there was a big crowd there that day, and they're used to maybe like the 10 people that come every week to do the ones normally, and then that day we had like probably over 50, close to 100 people like
mm,
throughout the day. And so I think it is that too. Like they're trying to deter us from like keep doing it because they know that it is bringing change. It is
mm.
people making aware, even just the people that are like driving, maybe people that drive by there every day and they're like, why are those guys here every week with the signs? Like, and you see like people honking, like giving the support now. It's growing. And then also too, when there's those big ones, it brings in sometimes the media. Then it gets into like
Yes.
national news or the city news. It
Yeah.
gets to the paper, on to some of the blogs within the city. Like the whole thing with I don't know if you heard about Antler. There's a restaurant here in Toronto that they've been doing a lot of protests outside, and it's gotten a lot of criticism, but at the same time, like it's gotten a lot of media to create stories about it, which is bringing a lot of attention to the movement. And whether it's coming from somewhat of a negative, like some of them have been negative or whatever, people look into it and then they see that like we're not the weird ones, we're not the crazy ones, we're peaceful, we're just there to raise awareness, we're there for the animals, like we're not attacking the people specifically, we're attacking the industry, we're there to show that is the industry, is the practices, it's the habits that we're against of, not people doing it. Because if you were to ask me 2 years ago, I was one of those people. Like
exactly, yeah. That's really important to remember, that I wasn't always vegan, and I thought it was normal to eat animals just like everyone else. I was conditioned in that way, So I think that's really important to remind people of that. But and also just going back to the vegan sort of infighting thing that we kind of touched on. I think with that, if anyone watching this that is sort of participating in that, I'd say please just think about, get some perspective on things and put your differences to one side, and let's all work together, because we need to work together for anything to change. It's so important right now, I think, to all come together. And why do we need to fight with one another? Do you want to draw attention to that and for it to be kind of like a spectacle to the outside world, or do we want to do you want the image to be that we are working together and inspiring change? So
we need to put the egos put the ego aside and realize that we're fighting for the same thing, which is for the animals. Like if you have a problem with somebody specifically, maybe talk to them about it, but don't like the whole bringing it out like spectacles, like no, it's not helping anybody, especially not the animals, right?
That's like an ego-driven thing. By doing that, by
I think
focusing on your own victimhood rather than animals that are victims of their suffering, is way worse than anything that you could say about other activists.
It could be jealousy too. Like some people, I don't know why they get jealous. Like sometimes they'll mention like, oh, look at some of the people like with their Patreons and stuff, and they're like making all this money. Like that's good. That's the community supporting what they're doing, because they're putting in the work. They're the ones that are constantly speaking out for it. And like there's nothing wrong with somebody trying to support themselves so they can do it full time. Like I'm trying to build that up too. And it's not because I'm like, oh, it's not like, oh, free money. No, it's not. People have to understand too, is like it's not something that it's fun to go do a bear witness. It's not like we're having a blast.
It's work. It's hard work.
It's hard work being there, seeing the animals. It's very emotional. You're trying to keep it together. And then for somebody like me, I gotta come home and then go through the same footage for hours and days to make a video. So it's not like I'm here editing like dead animals. No, it's like it takes a toll. Like it's hard work. We're doing it because they need us, not because we're trying to make money. Like we're just trying to free up the time, right?
Yeah, and don't forget that the Patreon dollars, people give that to the activists voluntarily. It's not like this is a voluntary basis. Do you know what I mean? They're not taking money away from people.
Yeah,
people
we're not voluntarily tricking anybody.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I think we're getting to the end of this. Last thing, if you can give a message for the non-vegans and then a message for the vegans that are watching this or listening to this podcast.
So the message for the non-vegans would be, if you have any consideration for animals whatsoever, then please maybe try the vegan 22-day challenge, because you might not think that you can be a vegan for the rest of your life. You may not think that you can give up the tasty burgers and the cheese and everything like this. You might think it's impossible, right? You might think I'm never going to change, because why would I? But when you start asking yourself hard questions like, do I prioritize my taste pleasure, my pleasure overall, over somebody else's life, and they are a someone, they're not just a something, they're a someone, then that's a really difficult question to ask yourself, and most people wouldn't, place their own selfishness over the life of an animal.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, ask yourself some hard questions like that and really come to terms with it, and then educate yourself if you can. There's a really good documentary called Dominion, which you can now rent for like $3 or $4.
$1 here in Canada.
Yeah. And why not just try the challenge? Because it takes 21 days to form a new habit. And usually a question that I like to ask people is, have you ever done a challenge in your life where you felt good, that you've achieved something afterwards? You felt like you've mastered something, If you have, then why not do this? It's just another challenge. It's not that hard to do. It's just literally taking all the tasty foods that you love now and just veganizing them, and see how you get on for 22 days. So try that challenge.
And there's a big bonus that you might just get healthier and live longer.
Exactly. It's all good. It's a win-win. It's good for the animals. It's good for your health. It's good for the planet as well.
Yep.
So it's a trifecta, bro.
Yes.
And the message for the vegans would be, please do something. Do what you can. Any little thing that you can do it tomorrow. Do it for the animals. So whether it be telling someone the reason why you're vegan, maybe if somebody's asked you before and you have been too shy to go into it, keep it really simple. Tell them what your vegan story is, why, the reason that you went vegan, what inspired you to go vegan. Tell them about the food. Bring in some vegan food to work, something like this. Just do something tomorrow. Why not do something tomorrow? Just have a little goal and do it tomorrow.
Sweet.
That's what I'd say to vegans.
Thank you so much, Emma. Guys, check out Banana Warrior Princess. I'm going to link up her Patreon, her YouTube, all her links. Check it out. Check her videos. Support her on Patreon if you're vegan and you believe in what we do. Stay tuned. There's more episodes, more guests coming soon. Check out all the past interviews and past episodes. This video is going to be on YouTube as well. And if you're listening, it will be available on Anchor.fm. It will be available on Spotify, iTunes, Google, 8 different platforms, so you can listen in the go. And thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Emma.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Peace out, guys. Go vegan.
Vegan.